Rebuilding a Rustproof Landrover, Part 2, showing the loading of the Landrover onto a car transporter truck, and now it is in my garden here in the East Riding of Yorkshire. I remove the wood burner and chimney, then the initial clean-up begins. It really is a bit of a mess, but it is not rusty after the 26 years since I rebuilt it. I check to see if the electrical system works. In 1999, I fitted a brand new wiring loom and I hope that is still intact. This clip shows me stood next to the Land Rover just outside the garden gates. It took some doing, but we pushed it manually to this point. And then the man from KD Recovery took over. I really recommend this company, they did a brilliant job. And here, as shown in the previous episode, it is sat in my garden. And it's time for a detailed inspection. Starting of course with this hideous thing which is in between the seats. It is a wood burner. Look at the state of it. I shoveled away copious amounts of wood ash that you can see coming out of the stove. And then, using brute force, and I was a bit surprised by the weight of it, I pulled the chimney out of the hole in the roof. Followed by removing this wooden base. I don't know how this has survived. To be honest, I don't know how the seat belt mountings, and in fact the seats, survived at all, being so close to a wood burner. It must have got very hot. But alas, it's no more, it's sat in my garden. This is not going to be the final resting place of these parts. I will dispose of them in a sensible place. I gave this roof to my friend Ken. At the back of the house where I used to live was an outbuilding with a leaky roof, and I used this Land Rover roof to stop the water getting into the outbuilding. I charged the battery, but it didn't work, and now when I try and crank it over, it just does this. The good news is, and quite coincidentally, moments ago an email flashed up to say my battery has arrived at a local garage. I've bought a new heavy-duty battery for the Land Rover. I was pleased to see that everything was intact under the steering column regarding the fuse panel. Looking upwards, I can't help but notice the hole is still there. I'm going to seal it with some duct tape. Once I remove the wood burner, I remove this panel that I made many years ago to fit over the hole in the centre. It's just like an inspection panel. I made the entire floor using this checker plate stuff, and it's worked out quite well over the years. It's still in very good condition. Removing the seats is going to be more difficult. I tried to remove the screws, but they are firmly locked into place. I was much stronger when I was 46 years old than I am now. I used to have an impact driver. I wonder if I can find it to take the screws out. Failing that, I will persuade the seats to leave the vehicle using an angle grinder. This shot shows the front of the Land Rover with its glass fibre bonnet, and stuck to this was a small plastic shark and a Smurf, which now are gone forever. Underneath the bonnet, this is what I see. Quite a lot of sycamore seeds, and a lot of spider webs. But strangely, I haven't actually seen any spiders yet. I don't really mind spiders, but I hate flies. Flies are only any good if you're dead. This is a 2¼ litre diesel engine, and it's still in not too bad condition. The thing with all the bolts in it is a vacuum pump from a Peugeot car. I use that to operate the brake servo. And it's driven with some nutlock belting from the original fan pulley. The series type Land Rover heaters were never very good, so when I rebuilt this one, I fitted a modern Land Rover 90 heater, which is a bit better. This contraption that you can see, the cylindrical thing, is the air filter. It is of the oil bath type, and just in front of the air filter, in front of the oil filler tube, is a close-up of the drive mechanism to this Peugeot vacuum pump. In the previous episode, I showed the other Land Rover that I used to have, and I fitted a Peugeot vacuum pump to that, because both on the red one and this one, the original design used inlet manifold vacuum to a vacuum tank, and you never really knew how much braking pressure you had. It was okay when the engine was revving, but if you were sat in traffic, the brakes would stop working, which was not so good. Even with the engine not running, the brakes on this Land Rover do work okay, and I'm not sure what this piece of pipe is doing. I can't remember leaving it like this. I always try to do a good job, and if you look carefully you will see that wiring looms are held down with nylon P-clips, with stainless steel Allen caphead domehead bolts, and everything was quite tidy. I made sure that nothing was ever going to be damaged by rubbing against adjacent metal parts. I even used P-clips and insulation tape when I repiped the hydraulic system for the brakes. The only part that I can see that has rust on it is this cover plate over the brake servo mechanism. I'm going to remove this and remake it using stainless steel. Time now for a bit of action. I want to sweep away all this detritus to have a close look at what I have to play with. And by the way, the red stuff on the bulkhead is not rust, it's red primer. This bulkhead was hot zinc metal sprayed as I mentioned in the last episode, and there's no rust on it at all, it's like new. Once I've got rid of most of the debris, spider webs, sycamore seeds and associated foliage, and various bits of moss, I will enlist the help of my small pressure washer and give the whole thing a good clean. It's looking better already. Here's a rare shot of me doing some work. Not that I don't do the work in these videos anyway, but I seldom feature myself. I don't know what's going on here. The Y-pack spotlight on the left was one of a pair that I fitted to it, and then for some reason a horrible old rusty thing got fitted to it. Maybe the Y-pack got broken. Here's a control panel that I made out of a piece of aluminium. The button on the right hand side is for the horn, and when I press it nothing happens. This is a rotary switch to turn the windscreen wipers on and off, and this switch turns on the electric cooling fan to keep the radiator cool. Back to the wiper switch. When you press this, it's supposed to squirt water onto the windscreen, and surprisingly it still does. This is the light switch, centre for side lights all the way down for headlights and side lights. And when I go outside to have a look, both of the headlights are on, both of the side lights are on, and when I try the indicator control, both of the indicators work okay. The bulb for the rear indicator was broken. I'll get a new one today when I go and fetch the battery, which is what I'm about to do. That's it for this one. Stay safe, stay healthy. Thanks for watching, and I hope you found it useful. Please take the time to visit my Mainsteam Models website and click on the section of the website that says Video Playlists. And by doing that, you can find other videos that you may like to watch. And by using the playlists, you can actually watch the videos back to back.